Okay, welcome back to Cohen Handler University. Welcome back, Steve Herzberg. Steve is founder and MD of NRG Solutions, which is corporate training company. Welcome back, Steve.
Thanks, Ben. Nice to be back. It's been a while, but
Yeah,
you're looking well.
You too, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So today we're going to talk a bit about the follow-up process. Follow-up process in sales, right? It's absolutely critical to get right. And I would say a lot of the majority of people don't have an effective follow-up process. So what are your thoughts on really, learning about this and I guess getting something ready to implement?
Yeah, Ben, I think, look, last time we chatted, we spoke about high performers and what are the things that they do.
Yeah.
And when you look at the best performers, we spoke about habits.
Correct.
And one of the habits they have is a really good process for
Yes.
following up. And we'll all have, any sales professional will have prospects, they'll have leads,
Yes.
they'll have existing clients, but you need to develop a system that works for you
Yes.
to follow up with all of those people.
Yes.
And everyone's different in terms of how that system can work. Now, some people will use Salesforce or a CRM tool. Some people might use Outlook. Some people will just use the diary on their phone. Some people may still use a traditional diary. But when you look at the best performers, they know each day who they're going to be following up with.
Yeah.
And they do it really well, Ben. This becomes a habit and part of their routine.
Okay, and I guess, do you see following up effectively, having that habit, creating a routine by doing so, really enabling better performance?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think what happens, often when you're new to sales,
Yeah.
you think, hey, just because I'm selling, you must be ready to buy.
Yeah.
Well, here I am, I've got my new suit on, I've had my hair cut, so you should be ready to go now.
Yeah.
But as you know, the prospect often isn't quite ready then.
Yeah.
They have other things on their mind, other priorities.
Sure.
And a good salesperson realises that they need to stay in touch with the right people at the right time for the right reason. And I think it's that, I call it SIT, stay in touch.
Yeah, I like that.
If you do that well, you'll find you'll close a lot of business. But what I find happens, I'm getting bombed recently, Ben, with emails. I don't know if you're the same. I get all these emails from people who have found their website online, and then they send me an email saying they can offer us these wonderful services, search engine optimization or lead generation tactics. And all they do, they send an email. In fact, I got another one this morning. Then they send another email a few days later asking me if I got the first email.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's effective follow-up.
Yeah, it's bombarding with just irrelevant, not value content, right, or questions.
Yeah, it just seems like, give me a call.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a chat, find out if I've got an issue or a problem. You never know, it might create a meeting which might lead to an opportunity. But I just think bombing people with endless emails, in fact, makes the relationship worse than it used to be.
Yeah, and would you go as far to say that's ineffective follow-up? Or do you think that human voice, that human interaction is more effective?
Definitely. I guess I'm a bit old school with this. I was born in the 60s. I think picking up the phone is really good follow-up. And everyone's different. It depends who you're communicating with. So for some people, it might be a timely text that is good follow-up. I like the phone, and I like to call people at the right time for the right reason.
Yeah.
And I often say, don't work 9 to 5. Think more 5 to 9, AM and PM. So call people between 5 and 9 in the morning, or between 5 and 9 in the evening. You'll be more likely to get hold of them.
Yeah,
People are busy in the day. They're all at meetings. They've got stuff on. But if you get them at those times, earlier in the morning or late in the day, and it's a good call with a good reason for the call, I think you'll be more likely to get a better outcome.
Yeah, interesting. So I guess what would be the first tip you would give the guys regarding effective follow-up?
Okay, I think the first thing I would say is make sure you have a system that works for you. So after you've met with a prospect or a client, make sure you have a way of following up with that person. Now, everyone's different. Some people, as I said before, will put it straight into their calendar that they're going to call them in a week's time. But if you put it into your diary or your CRM, make sure you do contact them in a week's time. Don't ignore it. So work on a system that works well for you.
So let me elaborate on that, Steve, regarding that system. So I guess it'd be fair to say after you meet a prospect at a meeting, what does the follow-up process look after that meeting? Hand-delivered card, maybe a text message to say thanks for meeting you, a call, whatever it is, there's a system after that.
Yeah, I like that. There's some sort of process.
And then if you sign up, for example, that prospect, they become effectively a client, what's the process even after that to thank them again or to reach out to them at some stage?
Well, absolutely. If they become a client, the follow-up could be, again, some sort of thanks, how are things going, and then we might move into a referral process.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they know
right.
of anyone else, brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts, who might be interested in finding out more about the service
Correct.
we provide here at Cohen Handler? So follow-up can be at all stages
of the life cycle of that sales process.
Absolutely, and in fact, a classic mistake is people go, well, I completed the transaction, bought the property for the client, so now I don't need to have anything to do with it.
That's where it goes wrong.
That's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
You've built all the trust. You've solved a problem for the client. Now what you need to do, I think, is stay in touch. Don't overdo it. This is the balance, isn't it? You know, they don't necessarily want to hear from you now every week, but can you touch base with them maybe 2 or 3 times a year after you've completed the transaction, just to check in on how are things going?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you can provide support for them with?
And I think going back to what you said earlier regarding you receiving emails, getting bombarded with really crap content or irrelevant information, I think it's important that the follow-up that you do maybe post, client life cycle where you've exchanged for a property for them is you're delivering some form of value to them. Example, maybe letting them know what next door sold for or a property down the road sold for.
Absolutely.
How much equity has increased in their property. Really relevant stuff that adds value to them, that's meaningful.
Absolutely, and I think, Ben, that taps into before you make the follow-up call, because I prefer a call to an email, do a bit of homework.
Yeah.
And I always say you've got to have a reason for that call. Now, you can get creative in this space. Everyone's different, but think creatively. What's the reason for me to get back in touch with that prospect? So creativity, as we know, for salespeople is really important. Yeah. You have to be able to have different solutions that are available to you. Yeah. So being creative with follow-up could mean, hey, I'm going to give that prospect a call. I'm going to invite them to an event that we've got coming up at Cohen Handler. Maybe I'm going to ask them how things are going at the moment. Maybe I'm going to provide a referral for them. Maybe I just want to get some feedback on our level of service. Yeah. But a bit of creativity will help you, and then you've ideally got a reason to get back in touch with that person. Yeah, excellent. So have a system is that first tip, right? Have a system, yeah. And that rolls into all stages of the sales cycle. Excellent. And what would you say the second tip is? Well, I'd say, be creative with your reasons to be back in touch. So have a process, then think creatively. And it might even mean that you have a list in front of you on your desk. What are the 10 different reasons why I could be calling my prospects? Yeah, I like that. And I think when you talk about think creatively, like here at Cohen Handler, we talk about now in our marketing about surprising people. Yeah. It's a really good way to engage with someone and get their attention. So maybe it's all about really creating some noise and really surprising them to some extent. Absolutely. Yeah. And look, Ben, it could be in your world, it could be something as simple as, look, it's just a courtesy call, Ben. I thought I'd let you know that a property has come on the market. You may not be looking at the moment, but I just thought I'd let you know about this opportunity. And you might say, hey, not interested in that, but I'm glad you rang because I wanted to ask you about something else. Yeah. And that's the reason often we get back in touch is we just want to get back on their radar. Yeah, fantastic. So, and is there a third tip you can share that you think is high value? Yeah, well, look, if there was a final tip for salespeople, I think I'd give them the message, don't become a stalker. Stay in touch, but don't become a stalker. Like if you overdo it, and this is the classic mistake for new people, I think, is they don't have enough leads. So what they do is the few opportunities they have, they almost hound those opportunities. Yeah, I've been there. I've actually done that. I'm a victim of that. There you go. And then I think as a customer or a prospect, you feel like this is not really very good. Yeah, they're annoying me too much. So think about how often do I touch base with these people. But we spoke about it before. The good salespeople, and they're in here today, they'll be doing their follow-up now because it's part of the system that they have. It's interesting, we went to a conference, Simon and I, in Orlando to watch Keller Williams, who is the #1 real estate agency in North America by agent count and by profit. So it's a phenomenal company. Yeah. And their #1 key stat regarding what constitutes a top performer is nurturing database follow-up. There you go. And that's based on data. It's phenomenal. So I think what we're talking about today here is excellent. I think it's so critical and a lot of people don't do it. Yeah, and it's funny, I've looked at this a lot over the years and I think why salespeople get stuck in this space is it's almost a little bit of a different skill to the classic. When we look at salespeople, we think about relationships and rapport and high energy and good talkers, optimistic. but the follow-up sounds a bit dry and boring.
Yeah.
But if you can have those analytical skills and have a system in that place, or in place there, that can make a huge difference to your results.
Yeah, absolutely. No, fantastic. Listen, Steve, thanks a lot.
Hey,
Really appreciate it.
Nice seeing you again, Ben.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks a lot.